You have worked in the Keeneland sales ring since the late 90s. What brought you to this point, and how did you get your start in the thoroughbred industry?
Well, in '99, I was working at a farm called Lakeland Farm, and I was doing the November sale. And we were selling horses here at Keeneland, and I brought a few horses through the sale ring at Keeneland. There was a gentleman named Mr. Dudley, and one day he asked me, he was like, "Hey, young fella, would you like to try this job?" And I'm like, "What job?" He was like, "This job here in the sale ring." I'm like, "I've never done it before." He was like, "It's okay." And I'm like, "Okay." So the next day I had agreed to do it. And two security guards had come down to barn 12, which is no longer here at Keeneland anymore. It's the back walking ring. And they asked, "Do you know an Aaron Kennedy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but he's not here right now. He's at the track kitchen." There's like, "Well, when he gets back, Roger Beasley would like to speak with him." So when they left, the next day, I came up to the administrative office and I spoke to Roger Beasley. And he asked me how long I've been in the horse business. And I told him. He said, "Would you like to try the job?" I said, "Sure." So they took me to guest services. They fitted me all up. Then I went to McAlpin's and got my clothes. And the next day, I was in the November sale. I started that job, and it's been fun since then.
And what about your start?
Well, that's kind of funny and ironic how I got my start. My mom had a family friend. He was a trainer. His name was M.R. Henley. And it was on a Saturday morning. My youngest brother had went to the training center on Paris Pike, and he came home around 11 o'clock that morning. And he said to me, he said, "Hey, there's a horse at the barn. He has a cage on his head." And I said, "A cage on his head?" So that struck some, like, my curiosity. So I called him up that afternoon and asked him if he could pick me up the next morning because I wanted to go to the training center with him. So make a long story short, he picked me up. I met him out on Russell Cave. He picked me up and went to the training center. And what it was, when they pin for our horses, they have something called a cradle. And it's like 6 or 7 pieces of wood. And it's like in the shape of a half moon. They have it up under the throat attached to the halter. And it's to keep them from biting on their legs and stuff and the irritation. So that's what it was. But my youngest brother called it a cage. And he put a shank in my hand. And it's like that was my calling in life, is to be in the thoroughbred industry.
And we've heard from other handlers that safety is their number one priority. Would you say the same thing? And what else would you say is your secret to success?
Well, I've heard that a lot from people about safety in the ring. But to be quite honest, in that sale ring, working at the farm, at the racetrack is 10 times more dangerous than being in that sale ring. And the reason why I say that is when you are at the farm prepping horses, you like in a 30-acre field, walking these yearlings around to get them fit for the sale. And they can get loose from you. It's just wide open spaces. They rear up to get their foot over the shank. They can cow kick you. Leading in mares and foals is a very dangerous job. But in that sale ring, because it's confined, and 9 times out of 10, the horses come in the September sale. They come with a lip shank on, and they had so much handling in preparation for the sale that they well behaved. Now, in the month of November, when the brood mares come with just a shifting in their mouth, it's a whole different ball game. The most important thing is to leave your ego in your car. Yeah, when I started this job, I wanted to show my authority to the horses. But as time went on, that's not the proper way to go about it. It's about leaving that ego in the car, and you have to be quiet. You have to stand quiet. Like horses can sense fear. And when I first started doing it, I was a little nervous, and the horses knew it. So they would almost like mess with me in a way. But as time went on, I learned little things, along my journey to finesse the horses. But the most important thing is to stand quiet and to be quiet around the horses.
The last time we saw you was in the winner's circle here at Keeneland during the spring meet. Can you talk some about your other work in the industry?
Yeah, you know what, that's the fun part. For years, I'd done what I had to do so I could do what I wanted to do. And from the beginning, it was always about being at the races and being at the racetrack. That's what I love to do. And then as time went on, I got married and had a family. I didn't want to travel with the horses. It was very important that I keep my family intact and stayed in town. So after my kids got grown and they moved on, and then Dad went back to the track. And I really love that job. I'm employed by Magdalena Racing, which is Kenny McPeak. And I've been there for 2 years now. And I have so much respect for Kenny. I get a chance to put my hand on some of the best thoroughbreds in training. And just a couple of months ago, Kenny McPeak, he moved me up. I was from a hot walker to the van driver, and then I'm a foreman. and I really enjoyed that job. Like just going to the paddock, the prestige, just seeing all the people, seeing the kids. It's almost like a family-oriented thing, seeing some of the best trainers and the best jockeys in the world. Just being a part of that is something special. But what I really, really like is like in the mornings when the blacksmith comes, I collect all the shoes and I keep them. And we take these little bags to the races with us, it has the blinkers and tapes and tongue ties and all these things. And I put 3 or 4 shoes in there. So when the horses are finished racing, we take our win photograph. Most of the time when we win, on the way back, I really enjoy seeing kids along the rail and giving them a shoe and seeing the expression on their faces and the parents telling me thank you. And every once in a while, I have a couple of Keeneland shirts or Breeders' Cup shirts, and I put them in a bag with the shoe and give it to the kids, and that's very satisfying to me, just to see those kids happy, see the expression on their faces, because it's all about that experience when they leave Keeneland. I like to want those kids to say, you know what, some strange guy, he was walking the horses back, and he handed me a shoe. Just for those kids to be a part of it, it's like a family-oriented thing when they come to Keeneland, and I really enjoy that, and I really enjoy the racing part of it.
And what have been some of the most challenging aspects of working in the industry, and also some of the most rewarding? You've talked some about some of the most rewarding, but if you could share on both ends of that spectrum, most challenging and most rewarding.
Some of the most rewarding, it may not mean a lot to some people, but for me, I get to touch some of the best brood mares and best yearlings in the world. I've been lucky enough to handle Always Dreaming, which won the Derby, Justify, Authentic, Improbable, She Dares the Devil, and the list goes on. And at one time, it was in the early 2000s, I held a horse in the sale ring. I don't remember his name, but they named him. He brought $11.7 million, so that was the highlight for me. Like, man, and it was a record for the September sale, and that was very rewarding. Some of the challenges in the business, I remember 3 or 4 years ago, I had lost a job at the farm, and it took me like a year and a half to find a job. And I felt not hopeless, but it made me feel kind of like worthless. And I knew that I was better than that. But in this industry, it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And I was thinking, man, what have I done wrong? Did I say something wrong while I'm not being employed? But I know everything is financial. It's for financial. Plus, I don't speak Spanish. And 90% of the farms and racetrack employees are most Hispanic. And like right now today, even on the backside, there's hundreds of employees, and I'm the only person that looks like this on the backside right now. So it was very challenging for a while, but the most important thing is to stay positive and keep your head up, and things will work out, and it's really worked out. And that's why I have so much respect for Kenny McPeak. He hired me in 2000, and I'm not taking my foot off the throttle since then.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us and for being with us here today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you. I really appreciate it.